opportunity to share with the people here at this amazing expo, to join hundreds of different amazing speakers with unbelievable messages that touch on all aspects of life around the world. And Chelsea, I know you're all about being that life breather, which is spreading the love. Also, getting to build up your confidence level and empower women around the globe, and to learn how to come from your heart and also live your dream. Well, today, my friend and cohort here in a collaboration, which she's going to share with you here in a minute, right? Which actually helps to do just that. Spread the love, build up your confidence, and empower you. Learn to come from the heart, right? And also how to follow your dreams and leave that legacy that is key for each and every one of us, right? So without further ado, Patricia Jo Grover, welcome to the show, welcome to the expert, and let the people know what it is that you do and a little bit about how we came together in this collaboration.
Well, thank you, Beverly. I am Patricia Jo Grover, the Goal Achievement Strategist. I have a show called The Patricia Jo Grover Show, where we turn believers into achievers. And I am author of the book, The Goal Achievement Strategist Guide to Reaching Your Full Potential. And that's what I do, is I help with this book, I help people to be able to achieve their dreams and goals. Right from dream weaving and the process to do that, knowing that they are worthy of being able to dream and they are capable of achieving their dreams and goals, to helping guide them through the creation of the plans to get there, and knowing and teaching them how to have the courage and consistency to keep following those plans that they put together all the way through to achievement. And, those limiting beliefs that we all have that creep up on us, to help them work their way through those so that they can actually achieve.
And that's really a key element there, is that achievement, but it's putting it into the action, right?
Exactly. And building those smarter plans. And you have to have the foundation, a strong foundation. And so knowing your purpose and your why, and I teach people how to have sensory vision. And when you can attach those things to your purpose and your why, that is there to guide you and sustain you through the tribulation that you'll come across, because life happens to every single one of us, whether we're ready for it or not. So
yeah, so true.
It's having those things in place.
Right.
And
right.
So how we met actually and decided to do this collaboration was I was a guest on Beverly Zimet's show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was fun. It was interesting. We hadn't even met. We hadn't spoken at all. My show, the Beverly Zimet Show, is a collaboration of guests, and it's all about being that best you that you can be, which really ties in with the Best You Expo. I mean, wow, what a fit. And, I have been in the alternative field of medicine and energy and all of that for the last 45 years. So it's been interesting to watch its development and how it goes. So what I've done in the metaphysical aspect of it, or in the energy and the psychic end of it, working with that heart and mind connection, the science now, physics, has come to, let's just say they're in the same library now. That metaphysics is what metaphysics knew, science has proven. And that's kind of why this course came together, because I talk a lot about the science behind it, and Patricia goes into kind of the simple
action steps.
Yeah, how to put it into play, really in how it impacts your daily life, your day-to-day living, whether it's your personal life, whether it's your business life, or whether it's just, out there having fun life, because we interact with people all the time. So bringing those two together, we decided we'd call it the mindset shift, putting the pieces together. So we kind of combined our knowledge, our books, because with this course, you're going to get a copy of my book and of her book. So the power formula, the heart-mind connection, like I said, kind of goes into the science behind it, because we have the elements of the human. When you look at the three parts of the brain, you have your reptilian, which is your survival brain, and then we have the mammalian, which is your feeling brain. It's part of that thinking process. And then you have the frontal lobe cortexes, where all information is stored. And it comes in different times period of your life, is how you develop each one of those brains that are on top of each other. So when you reach that age of reasoning, all that stored database that goes in these frontal lobes now is getting access. And how you experienced it is how you are going to tap into that feeling brain. Left brain or right brain. So now we got those two sides of the brain. So we go in depth with that to really help explain how that process works, so that when Patricia starts talking about different things and belief systems, right? Because how those beliefs got in there, they're in that database of information. So when she starts talking about that belief system, right, how it got there, it's going to make a little more sense on how you can rewire it and change it. So Patricia, talk a little bit about when, talking about that mindset, so to speak, and how that works, and how to recognize those things, that need to be shifted.
Well, we all, from the time that we're little, our parents, will say things that we'll say, well, to kind of give us a little bit of fear, to keep us safe. In some reasons, that's the instance that happens, but in other ways, it actually puts that fear into us and has that start building that belief window that something's not safe and don't ever do that, and it stops you in your tracks even as an adult. So there can be those things that are already pre-built into us by the time we become adults and we are ready to start a journey of whether it's starting a business, whether it could be in a relationship, in many different ways. So with those, and the way that it plays into when you are trying to achieve something, any type of goal, it is a blockage, and we need to take that and find out what it is that's causing that and break it down so that it doesn't stand in our way anymore. We can change the view, change our window, our belief window that we're looking through. And with Beverly's help, it will make it easier for people to get through this process.
Well, yeah, it makes sense.
Mindset, and it is. We all know when you...
Yeah.
Right, and having a positive mindset about anything that you're approaching is so beneficial.
Right.
And that's what we want to do, is have everybody going forward with a positive mindset on whatever they're approaching.
Right. And that's the physical parts of the brain. When we talk about the energy parts of the brain, the soul of who we are, that soul combination. So our soul actually has three parts, and you're going to find this is really quite interesting. Everything is in threes, and that's significant as well. So when you look at the subconscious brain connects directly into the reptilian, which is the survival, right? And so this is where your early habits get built. Those belief systems become your personality. They run on autopilot, right? And so our world is what? Action and reaction, action and reaction. So where does that reaction come from? It comes out of that survival brain, that subconscious, right? And that's where the shift in the mindset has to really take place, right? And then we have our conscious brain, which is our left and right brain. It's our feelings. It's all the sensory things, our see, touch, taste, smell, and hear, right? All of that is in that mammalian brain, right? And so now it's like when you listen to the words that you say, well, how does that feel? Well, how does that sound? It doesn't taste very good, right? And it's like, I'm not quite seeing the whole picture. So the words that we use, right, that tells us kind of what category it is and what part of that mammalian brain that you're tapping into. And the consciousness kind of has an ego, because the consciousness wants to be right, because we want people to accept us, we want them to like us, we want them, we want to feel good, all these things, right? But the subconscious kind of takes over, and it will take over the rule. So when you understand where the conflict is between your conscious brain and your subconscious brain, now the process to go into the higher consciousness comes into play, because the higher conscious knows everything. It knows where all that stuff is stored. To communicate from higher consciousness to consciousness, you have to go through that little subconscious, and he's not always very nice, or she's not always very nice, right? Because it's like that little 5-year-old. You give them something, they don't want to give it up, right? And so I teach you how those work, and different little techniques that you can incorporate that helps the neural pathways in the frontal lobe cortexes and stuff, right? Those new neural pathways that you need to build to start rewiring and reprogramming that brain, right? So you have to acknowledge and let that little subconscious, let that little child in there, that's why they call it inner child work sometimes, to be right. Because when you allow that little child to be right, guess what? They'll give you anything, right? And you want them to give up the old stuff that isn't serving purpose so that you can pitch it and then put in the new stuff that's going to be working in your new database of information and that new belief. And that also builds your trust and your confidence in yourself. And, so when you look at how that all incorporates together with those two styles of the brain, and then Patricia comes in and she says, okay, so on our day-to-day basis, and I'll let you take it from there. How does that work?
Well, with words that we use with ourselves, just like when you say never quit, using the word quit isn't the best choice of word for us to use because of the way our brain recognizes that.
Exactly.
So it's never give up is the better words to use, and like you had said, it is how our brain does function, and putting those things together. In my book, I have assignments at the end of each chapter to break it down for everyone so that it is step by step and it's not overwhelming. What I found is that people do get overwhelmed if they're trying to work on too many things at one time.
Oh, exactly.
So, and that's it. That's what it is. It's a process of building that foundation and having your plan set in place, and have planning to help you get through the process, and checking back for where you are at in your journey. It really is every single day. These are simple steps. And the thing is, it's so simple, and it goes back to the basics so much that it may seem scary to people because they're not used to really taking that step back and really getting to know, because you're getting to know yourself and answering questions that it's just so normal and part of your everyday life that you don't really think about it. But when you break it down, you can find out where things may be coming off rails for you to get where you need to be.
Yeah, and that is so true, to be able to take a look at that, and you really tapped on something, it's that finding of the self, right? And so a lot of times you might have a struggle finding yourself, but we can teach you ways on how you become your own archaeologist, right? And you start moving the things away little by little of what you are not. And that's when you find who you are. And a lot of times you'll see other people will see things in you and believe in you long before you believe in yourself, right? So listen up when someone says, hey, you have so much potential. You have so much to give. Pay attention to that. And then start looking at the self as like, how do I find that? How do I get that? How do you see that? Because they're watching your activity and they're watching your actions, right? And, again, everything's action reaction. So when you start looking at it from that perspective and start believing and trusting in yourself again by, the old database, getting rid of that, one piece at a time, and the techniques that we're going to share with you all start with 30 to 60 seconds to start rewiring and reprogramming, rebuilding those neural pathways that are so important to go out there and really find that inner essence of who you are, that soul of who you are. And that, my friend, will put you on the path to finding your purpose. So when you know your identity, you will find your purpose. And that's where the goal achiever steps in here to say, hey, what was that dream you had a long time ago? What was that goal you wanted to reach? Now the blocks are out of the way. So it's been such a perfect fit because I can help you move all that blocks out of the way and reprogram, the belief system in you. And Miss Goal Achiever here can say, all right, let's pull those dreams and bring them back to life. Let's focus on those goals. So, Patricia, share with the people here today on how they can actually get back their dreams, their goals, and leave that legacy that they have wanted for so long that seemed to have gotten buried in the abyss somewhere.
And that's what it is. Sometimes it is so deep and we need to dig. And I tell people, if there were dreams that you had when you were a little kid and you haven't gone after them, but those dreams keep reoccurring even now as an adult, there's probably a reason for that. And like you've said, it some things can be so deep inside of us we don't realize until
Right.
We can want something, but sometimes we know, life happens to all of us, and it's not the time for that to happen until we've gone through so many things or had such growth that then we are ready. So
Right.
when we go through this process, when you go through the process with Beverly and I with this course, you will be ready to move on and to start the next chapter of your life. And it really, at that point, then I have systems that I use to help people dig and get where we need to. I need to be able to, as the goal achievement strategist, I need to help you determine where you are, currently where you are, and I need to help you figure out exactly where you want to be.
Exactly.
And then it's to find the how to do get you from point A to point B. So it's a personal GPS system I help people create, and it is so. I work so deeply with people, so to be able to do this, because it doesn't matter what I want for them, anybody, it has to come from within. It has to
Right.
come from what they want and desire, and it has to be their goal. Even though you may know that somebody has potential at something, again, and you see it in them before they see it in themselves,
Right.
it has to come from them. And that's really what I do with people, is so that they have that. They can learn their purpose, but understanding and really getting an understanding of their why, because we all have different whys, and different whys for different goals also.
Oh, yes. That's key. Yes.
Right.
Right.
Right. So we may have goals, little goals here and there, but our ultimate big goal could be something totally different, but it could be a compilation of, okay, got to have this one and this one, and then I'll be able to do
Right.
this. Milestones.
It is milestones. It's those little steps, and that's one of the reasons why we brought our books together, is because sometimes we have those struggles, and it can be challenging to get over that hurdle, right? Think about it when you learn how to jump, right? And how high can you jump, right? You're playing the game. How high can you jump, right? And you keep jumping a little bit higher and a little bit higher. Well, your goals are kind of like that as well. But some of our challenges, it seems like they're so big and so instilled in us that we don't see a way to get over them or to get around them or to get under them, and to get through them, And so the things that I can help you with is to implode those or explode those, right? To move them completely out of the way faster. Because a lot of times everything gets jingled up and messed up because if it's trauma in your life, and trauma can be small or big, the subconscious protects, and so therefore it cuts and pastes. So everything that comes up diluted anyway. And 95% of that stuff that's in there belongs to somebody else, because you can empathize or sympathize instead of empathize. And so you attach to everybody else's stuff. It's like you pretend you're Charles Atlas and you can carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. Well, not so much, right? Because it just takes your little mountain, molehill, and turns it into this massive mountain and this bigger mountain. The more you collect, when you learn how to be a sounding board instead of a sponge, it begins to change things. So being able to start moving, huge amounts of things that no longer serve purpose, that aren't even yours, when you really grasp that, and that's part of the training and how to grasp that, then the things that Patricia has taken you through with finding that goals and rebuilding those dreams and making them dreams even bigger and making your goals even bigger, right? It doesn't feel overwhelming or unreachable. Right? So there's this really beautiful balance that we discovered in understanding each other's books and reading, and it's like, oh my gosh, right? I had so many oh my gosh moments, like, wow, where has she been?
And but the same way, because what I've learned from reading Beverly's book is more about, hey, that's really how this works. This is what is stopping people from being able to achieve. Because I want more, 8% of the people are achievers, that are ultimate achievers of their goals. And I want to raise that number. Because I know the stuff that we're talking about is going to be the difference and be the shift, that mind shift that will make the difference.
And the mind shifts when you have what? When you have those neurotransmitters, and it's never too old to build new neurotransmitters. But if you don't keep feeding them with that information, then they disappear again. And after you built one, you want to make it keep on working, right? It's like if you ever built anything, you want to keep it there and you want to add to it, right? And that's what it's all about. And life just keeps getting better and better. And that's what this expo is here to share with all of the speakers that you're going to listen to over the next 7 days, right? That can give you that lead in and that guide and that little direction. And if you only get one little morsel of information, that can change your life, right? It can change your life. But the thing is you have to start where? Somewhere, right?
That's the hardest part, is taking that first step.
Right. Yeah, think about it. When you took that first baby step, when you learned how to walk, right? And you're standing there and you're moving back and forth, and then boom, you go down. But what did you do? You got back up and you tried it again, and you got back up and you tried it again. And that's what you spoke about earlier, Patricia, is that not giving up, right? And it's finding your support team. I mean, when you're little and you're learning how to crawl and you're learning how to walk, you got a massive field of cheerleaders here. Come on, you can do it, right? Yeah. And why don't we still have that as we grow through life? Where did that support get lost? Now it's time to get back to a support team. And that's what makes this course that much more powerful, because we're uniting as a team. And we want you to join our team so that we can help you find your team, and know that there's support. There really is, no matter what it has happened in your life, no matter how trauma, existed in your growing up years or even in your present moment. There's always hope and there's always a way out. And sometimes the hardest thing to do is to ask. Right. And that asking is like that first little baby step. But again, know who you're asking. Don't ask those that are going to say no or give you some kind of a reason, tell you you're stupid and all this kind of stuff. And I know you all know what I'm talking about because we've been down that road. And we do that because we want to say, see, I knew it. I told you so. I was right. Ask a total stranger. Total stranger. And then you're going to get some truth. Right? Misery loves company. There's a reason why that's a fact. Right? Nobody wants to be alone. So therefore, if I'm miserable over here and I ain't ready to take the step to get the heck out of it, you ain't going nowhere, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure you stay here, right?
And there are people that do that even right from childhood, and that's where those limiting beliefs sometimes affect people,
right?
Because that's the belief system that they had in
right.
front of them at all times. Right.
Yeah, I know my training, I grew up in the Midwest, second oldest of 11 kids, right? Went to 12 years in a parochial school, and the whole thing was you either, you grow up, you either go to the nunnery or the priesthood, or you get married and have kids and teach them the same thing because it's just that repetition. That's just the way it was supposed to be. Well, that wasn't the way it was going to be for me, and I kind of almost, I saw myself going down that direction, and I caught myself. I'm like, wait a minute, I've been this little rebel. I've been out doing what I want to do. When I graduated and went on to college and I was working, I had my freedom, and then all of a sudden I found myself in a dead-end marriage with 3 children a year apart. Saying, wait a minute, this is that thing, right? I'm not going to follow my mother's footsteps. I'm not going to get stuck here where I don't want to be. I have dreams. I have goals. There's more to life than this. And I found my way out. And I'm telling you, in the 70s, there wasn't anything to support, and you had to reach into that essence of who you are. You really had to reach inside. Right.
And that, and that just, I can share a little bit of my story because it's a big story, and that's where I've gained all my wisdom and knowledge, and so that I can help other people is, my childhood, and I say, was something that most people couldn't conceive, let alone believe. And from the situation with my father, he was an alcoholic and abusive, and just knowing, and experiencing things, and I won't get into deep right now, but knowing how controlling he was of my mother, and things that just happened that I just don't want to even go into right now because that's how upset I get about it. But it made me understand that I did not want a life like that.
Right.
I did not want a life like that, and my mother had to go to work doing a job that it allowed for me to have a home and a roof over my head, but she took in patients from a mental institution, and I was a child living in a house with mentally retarded adults. And how all of these things affected me made me realize that what I learned to do, because I went to high school and beauty school at the same time and graduated both at the same time, and went into the field because I wanted to be able to help people feel better about themselves and the way that they
Right.
looked. And that's the career path that I ended up taking because of the situation and how my father treated my mother. And from that, I again made those choices and decisions of a life that I was going to have that would be different. I got a career built with that. I went and started managing a beauty salon. I left that beauty salon and I started my own business and a full service salon. I worked for skincare and cosmetic companies, did education for them, and then I created my own line of skincare and cosmetics. So I took all that I had learned and used that to utilize everything to move forward. And that's what I can say is those are the choices and decisions that we make are what help design our destiny and get us
Right.
to where we've been. And that's the what I had from within, that strength that I gained and said, I don't want this. I don't want a life like this. I was able to change that and have the direction go that I wanted.
Right. And that is so important, Patty, what you just said there is, do you want out more than you want to stay in?
Right.
Right.
Or if there's anything that somebody wants, that they have for a dream, they have to allow themselves, but they have to have that curiosity. And that's the thing. They have to
Right.
be curious, because the curiosity, when their curiosity is greater than their fear, then
Right.
that's the vessel that's going to get them there.
And again, fear. What actually is fear, and why has it been put there? I mean, when we look back ancestrally wise, right, way back in caveman time, right, we needed to have that. And again, that's part of that reptilian brain where that fear is stored, right? That it was our survival.
It's kind of like the guidance system there.
Right.
I don't
So
know. Can you still hear me?
yes, we can hear
Oh, there we go. There we go.
you.
Yeah. So the whole guidance system that that we have, again, some things are pre-programmed into us from the time that we're young
Right.
to going through. But once we can make our own decisions and choices, that's where our life journey is
Right.
beginning.
And again, it is that self choice. We have free will, right? And you look at your life, where has your free will been stripped? Where has it been taken from you? It's time to, we talk about, spreading the love, and we talk about that feeling of empowerment. How can you empower yourself? This is that best you. Are you really the best you that you can be? That is a question only you can answer, where you believe in being that best you. And so that empowerment, when you start making your own choices the way you see it and the way you feel it and the way you want it to be, it takes a lot of courage and strength to do that, but it's very empowering just to make those little changes, because change is going to happen with or without you.
Exactly.
And if you're doing the things that you've been doing all of your life and thinking you're going to get something different, now you've just understood the definition of insanity. But if you want to change, you want to take charge of your life, and it's not about control and manipulations, it's taking charge. And that's what's empowering, and that's what's freeing, so that you can empower yourself when you say, I don't want to act like this anymore. I don't want to respond like this anymore. I don't want this in my life anymore.
Right.
Now you make the decision to make the change. I was asked on one of my shows when I was interviewing someone, what's the difference between change and transformation?
Good
Ooh, not
question.
yeah, it really makes you stop and think for a minute. When you make changes, they're They can be big, they can be small, they can be all sizes. You make those changes. However, change gives you the opt-in, opt-out, whatever you want to call it, an option to fall back into that old pattern. So if you're making the changes and you still see yourself falling back into those old patterns, you haven't reached transformation. Transformation is when there's no option to go back to what was. Now it's complete. Now the neural pathways that you have built are designed and they're running that new program. So it's not about change in that moment anymore. Transformation has changed. Your cell memory has shifted. Everything in that reptilian cellular, structure now has been totally altered. And you have a new personality trait that begins to step in and take over. Now you're beginning to find your identity, and that is going to put you on the path to seeking your purpose, which is what Patricia's talking about as building them dreams again and finding those goals that are going to get you closer and closer and closer, one little step at a time. And that's what we're here to do in conjunction with one another, is to help you put that into perspective.
Right. And what I say is it's time to put on the big girl panties and get to work. And that's what we do after we get that mind shifted.
Right.
Then it's time to, how there's people who are motivational speakers. I am activational, because it's time to get to work, because it,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
And all the information in the world isn't going to do you a darn bit of good until you put it into action.
Exactly.
Right? And that is a key. And sometimes it's a little scary, but you know what? When you stand in the midst of that fear begins to disappear. And again, we talked about words, Patricia. So if we take fear and get rid of it and turn it into caution, right? Now it's not so scary, right? And then when we start making those little baby steps, and if we change that belief, like, but what if it's worse out there? Well, let's change the mindset. What if it's better? But you know what? It's not what if it's going to be out there. It's what you are thinking up here that's going to make it out there. It will make it the same, it will make it worse, or it will make it better. Right? So it's that adjustment of those words,
Right.
that you
And
use.
again, that's the big part of that, is like what you were saying, the mind and how we process even certain words that we talk to ourselves, and how we talk to ourselves
Right.
make all the difference. And then when you put the steps with it that I give everyone to do, and work through that process hand in hand with using the right words and terminology and talking with yourself appropriately, and then being able to break down, and again, the fears, and using the term of being cautious. Yes, because anything that we can break down, we can turn those fears into fuel if we break them down properly.
Right, and if you that's a good thing that you just said, because you can take that fear and use it as your driving force. Right?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So if your desire is greater than your fear, that fear is going to push you right in to meet that desire. Right? And those are the things that we teach you, because we're looking at charges. We look at positive and we look at negative. They're just a charge. They're a polarity. They're the North Pole and the South Pole. Right? And so when you look at that as a charge, it's the feeling that fuels the emotion. And you're going to fuel it with a positive charge or a negative charge. So these are the little tricks that we can teach you. And by teaching you how to shift different words. So if there's a word that you grew up with in your culture, or something you heard over and over, that's a trigger, and it's recognizing what those triggers are, then what we can do is we can help you substitute a word that's not going to change the impact of the statement, but give you that ability to move through it without all these triggers of the other stuff that just turns you around in a backward spiral, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So
It just it's very, very empowering. It because you lift all that mud, that muck
all that
and
stuff that no longer
all that
serves
stuff.
purpose,
Right,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
You lift that out, and oh my goodness, freeing and
It's very
empowering.
freeing. Yeah. And then you begin to start loving yourself because, again, we talk about that love. You cannot give more out of yourself than what you give to yourself, right? So learn how to really love yourself. But the more difficult is learning how to like yourself.
Right.
We talked, about definitions of words, can change and transformation. And, there's a lot of analogies that you can utilize for that as well, in filling your own cup with that. And so we kind of help you take those duality words and balance them into the harmony, right? So gratitude and appreciation, what's the difference between gratitude and appreciation? You can be grateful for a lot of things, but when you appreciate the things that you don't like, and then you change those, you transform those, you begin to really be grateful for having that. So you see how those kind of, all four of those words kind of twist
Right.
together? And there's so many of them out there, and it's a mind game. And we will teach you how to straighten out the mind game, right? So what we would like to share with you today is we have a special to help you be that best
That's
you,
you.
right? That we are doing a special. The program we have is 6 weeks, right, Patty? 6 weeks
Yeah.
where you work with
6
us,
weeks.
right?
And
And
and this is and you're gonna learn to know, like, trust, and love yourself
right, and like yourself,
and
right?
like yourself.
And
Yes.
build that confidence up and that belief and trust in yourself. That's the key element, that goes along with it. There's going to be so much more because you will have your true identity, you will have your purpose. So in these 6 weeks, we can teach you how to speed up these processes that once you reach that first month, we can almost guarantee you're going to say, can it still get better? Like, really? Can it get better? Right? You're going to be
You're
excited.
you're
Right?
gonna have the foundation laid
Oh,
for you to be able
yeah.
to achieve any goal that you
Right.
want.
So the class usually runs $497, right? And it's worth every dime of that and then some. However, because you're here today and this is all about that Best You Expo, and we want to do our part in helping you, right, become that best you, that we are going to do a show special. And it's going to be $297. So you're going to save yourself $200. That's a lot. Because you know what? Just think about it. Put that $200 aside so that when you start to become that special you and you find that purpose, that you can go out there and you can reward yourself. Right? Now you've got something, you've got $2 more that we just put back in your pocket so that you can give yourself these little awards, and that is something that's very, pertinent as well, and to be held accountable, because sometimes that's the most hardest thing, because nobody holds us accountable. And then the justification and the excuses show up, right? And what do? We believe those excuses, and then, Patty, what happens when we begin to believe those excuses?
Self-sabotage.
Oh, yes.
Self-sabotage. It is there. So, and going back to what you said, Beverly, I teach my clients to build into, because they have budgets. You
Right.
have a budget of, when you have a goal, you have budgets. You have a budget of time, you have a budget of money, and you have a budget of energy. But
Exactly.
but when you reach, and I teach people, when you reach these milestones that you set for yourself, you have to build into your budget your financial budget, even rewards for yourself, and taking time for yourself and adding those in to that, because you just, if you've accomplished this, you have earned that, and you
Right.
need to give yourself that award.
And you have to make the commitment to yourself,
Hmm.
right? It starts with the self. Are you committed to yourself? Are you committed to make that transformation? Are you ready to take those steps? How committed are you? And like I said, we are definitely going to show you that it doesn't have to be that difficult. We're going to take you by the hand and walk you step by step. We're going to be there. We're not just going to throw a box out at you and say, "I'll have at it." That's not the way it's going to be. So we'll be on weekly calls, weekly Zooms. We'll have a special, page that everyone can come to and interact. There'll be question and answers going on all the time. We're going to give you fun little things to do.
Some
Not
assignments, some assignments.
you know and these are the things that are going to build you into the real you that you are. But we're gonna speed up that process of getting all that stuff out of the way that you're not, right? So think about what that is. Can you invest $297 in yourself? Are you worth that?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. You are. And like I said, we are going to just be right there for you. This show special, and it's a pre-sale as well, right? For that $297 is going to be honored for the first 20 people that either go to the bit.ly mindset journey, all capital. It's case sensitive, right? You go there and you register, right? And you'll be in that top 20. Or if you want to do it faster, just text the word mindset to 888-527-7146. It's right up here on the screen. It's that mindset shift, putting the pieces together. So if you are ready to bring your heart and your mind together, I got to share this, Patricia. I had a
Yes.
gentleman on my show, and I've learned so much from the guests on my shows. It's crazy, right? And hey, you know what? We might even put you on the show after you guys, have reached this point where you can share
Yeah.
with the world. You can tell your story, because your story is what's going to help drive you to get to that ultimate outcome, right? But what he said was the longest journey you will ever take is from your mind to your heart.
Oh,
I
wow.
know, right?
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's why we call it a mindset
Yeah.
journey, right?
Oh my goodness. Oh, that almost brings tears to my eyes.
I
That's so
know.
real. That's so real. So
It
true.
is. It is, because, we've been hurt. We've all been hurt, right? And again, your database of information changes, right? If you stay in that comfort zone, what's going to happen? You're going to become that predictable you.
Right.
You're going to have that misery instead of all this happiness that's out here. So you're going to be miserably comfortable, or comfortably miserable, however you want to look at it,
Right, right,
you know.
exactly.
But your database of information keeps on going. So what was once your truth today may not be your truth tomorrow.
Right.
Right? And once, the things that were false today may end up being your truth tomorrow, because of the database you've left. You've kept an open mind. Don't shut down. And it's easy to shut down when you've been hurt, right? But we are here as your support team, as your boost up, as your hand up, not hand out. And we are going to teach you how not to give up and how to get back on that roller coaster, because you know what? That roller coaster ride can be pretty jerky. It can be upside down. It can almost feel like it's going to throw you out, but you hang on for dear life and just go for the ride.
Yep.
And we're going to teach you how to get back on that roller coaster and have a great ride, right?
And to live your life to its fullest potential.
Right.
We have this life. Let's make the most of it.
Right. And it's about living your life the way you want it to be, not the way you think it should be, not the way someone else has told you it needs to be.
Right.
Because that's the conflict, and then that inner conflict is in there because your inner you is saying, but I don't want to do that. I want to do something different, right? Listen to that inner voice. Follow that inner voice. Follow that dream.
Exactly.
Follow that dream, right? And that's what we're here to help you do in the mindset shift. Putting those pieces together. You know, the old Humpty Dumpty story, right? Well, you know what? It's time Humpty Dumpty got put back together and got back up there, you know, and sit on top of the world, not on that fence. And we're going to show you how to ride that spinning world, right? And never fall off, right? But it's not about not having feelings or emotions or anything. It's recognizing when to have them and then when to let them go, right? You know,
and utilizing them to the
Right.
fullest. Those feelings of excitement and curiosity can be very, very powerful if you harness them and let them.
yeah, let them work for you instead of against you. You know, and again, when you look at your physical body, right? Are you suffering from any kind of issue in your physical body? Could it be related to an emotion? Could it be related to traumas in your life? Could it be related to storing all of that negative energy in you? When you store anger and you're angry at someone, that someone is carrying on with their life and they have forgotten everything that you have held on to with that anger. And your being angry at them is not doing damage there, but it's doing damage inside. So another thing, you know, just a bonus, shall we say, by going through this little course and making these shifts, and this is just the beginning, you're going to want more. I promise you. But it will shift the things that are going on in your physical body, as well as, because when that mindset shifts, the physical body has to follow in place, right? So again, you know, be one of those first 20 to sign up. Get on and get going, right? Because the course will be taking place in October. And we want you to be there because we want you to be on this journey. We're all about spreading the love, building that confidence, and empowering you, coming from your heart and living your dream. So go down there, text in mindset to 888-527-7146, or just type in bit.ly/mindset journey, all in capitals. And we will see you there at this unbelievable 6 weeks life-changing course, right? Oh, we're so happy.
Yeah.
And again, we want to do a big shout out for Chelsea for giving us this opportunity to be a part of this Best You Expo. And Chelsea Colley, you are an angel, the life breather, and her story, you have got to listen to her story because it is just so amazing. She lost both of her parents at 16. You know, she said goodbye to them one night. They were going to a party with a bunch of friends, and on the way there, the tire blew out, and it rolled, and they were both killed. So in an instant at 16, her whole world, as she knew it, was different. It changed, right? And she's moved herself up and out of that and has just turned and blossomed into this beautiful young soul. She has a family. She has a little guy that just turned, he's a little over a year now, and just the joy of their life,
Right.
right? You know, so don't take life for granted. Don't stay stagnant in your life. Every moment that you don't live, you're dying. So let us help you get back on that road to living. Take your mindset journey with us. So type in bit.ly/mindset journey, or just text in mindset to 888-527-7147. Oh, excuse me, 7146, right? And be one of the first 20, so that you're going to have a little extra cash to spend on you when you start, overcoming all these challenges and start finding your purpose. So thank you all again. Thank you, Miss Patricia. I am honored to be in this course doing this with you, because we definitely know how to empower them, don't we?
Exactly, exactly. And between empowered and moving on their journey, because they will be achieving. They will be achieving. There's no question in my mind. If we can get rid of the gunk that's in their head
And we
and
can
put
do
them to
that.
bed and get them to work and put their big girl panties on and get to business, and they will be achievers.
There you have it. We will all see you in October.